you, Mr. Speaker. Today, Elections Alberta announced it found at least 15 separate instances of illegal donations to political parties, with more ongoing. We can confirm our party or CAs were not contacted, to my knowledge. We asked the CEO if he could share the details, but he can't. Why? Well, according to the CEO, because of a law that this Premier passed as Justice Minister that prohibits the Chief Electoral Officer from disclosing the findings of these illegal donations and these investigations. Why did you pass that law while you were Justice Minister?
The Honourable the Premier.
Mr. Speaker, we have an Elections Act in this province that was passed by this legislature, that was vigorously debated in this legislature, and ensured, most importantly, something this honourable member does not understand, the independence of officers of this legislature, Mr. Speaker. We need to ensure that the Chief Electoral Officer has the ability to do the investigations that that office feels necessary. And, Mr. Speaker, the amendments to the Elections Act that were put forward in this House last time round were amendments that were recommended by the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Speaker.
Member, please.
So let me get this straight. Just confirm it for me. You passed a law that, until you were Justice Minister, was not the case, that bans the Chief Electoral Officer from disclosing the findings of investigations into illegal donations, when they're found, illegal donations by political parties, probably by your political party. Why would you do that? Does that not look like a cover-up to you?
The Honourable the Premier.
Making a suggestion and drawing a conclusion that is entirely inappropriate. First of all, there has been no suggestion today, as he stated in his preamble, that he can come to any conclusion with respect to what the Chief Electoral Officer is investigating at the moment. What we know the Chief Electoral Officer is continuing to do is to do his work independently and to ensure that he is able to make appropriate recommendations to prosecutors. That elections legislation, Mr. Speaker, allows the Chief Electoral Officer to do his work, to make recommendations to a prosecutor where appropriate and where there are offences committed. And I reject the innuendo from this member that any have actually been committed will actually allow for an appropriate independent prosecution, Mr. Speaker.
Whoa, someone's sure protesting. So I'll give you this challenge then, Madam Premier. If you're so confident in how squeaky clean your party is on this matter, will you please commit today to allow the Chief Electoral Officer, through legislation if necessary, to be able, when illegal donations are found, to publish those findings and actually show Albertans that you're not part of this cover, because it looks like you are at the centre of this cover-up.
The officer has the opportunity to bring forward recommendations with respect to the Elections Act. That is what the Chief Electoral Officer did the last time that we reviewed the Act. If this is a suggestion that this member would like to make, and he somehow feels that he is an expert on the Elections Act and has a better understanding as to how to administer elections in Alberta, then I would suggest that he introduce legislation, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member Brantbury Wapiti, followed by the